What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk. Today's episode, we will be discussing dating in 2018. Welcome back to another show. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, whatever time of day you are tuning in. Welcome. And thanks for joining me for another session. All right, so today, dating. How many of you are single, or how many of you are just getting into a new relationship? What I'm finding out now, it's very different dating, and it's from two different points. I'm thinking dating in my 20s, late teens to 20s versus dating in my 30s, as well as dating in the early 2000s versus dating close to 2020. You know what I mean? Like, it's changed a lot in just, about 16, 18 years. I started really, dating, quote unquote, in, 2002. Sounds like a long time ago. But in comparison, it was very different. Back in the early 2000s, well, I was still in high school, but back in the early 2000s, people and attitudes and things around us were different. You know, we didn't have Tinder and all the swipe left, swipe right dating sites. You know what I mean? So a lot of people dated and got to know each other. They got to feel a personality. They got to really like each other. You know what I mean? Like, couples were really couples back then. And that sounds kind of weird, but it's true. I mean, I'm recently single, and I'm also recently in my 30s. I'm 32 now. And I'm trying to figure out the dating scene now. And a lot has changed. A lot has changed in the past 15 years, for sure. But yeah, okay, so what I want to know is, for my fellow 80s babies, 90s kids, what is your take on this? How do you feel? Like, do you think that dating is different, or do you think that in the time and place where we are, age-wise and mentally and maturity-wise, that we're just different? Because personally, I think both of them have something to do with just how off we may feel being, of our generation, trying to dive into this dating scene. And it seems like all the single people are getting younger, which is weird too. I'm a little later on, I'm gonna tell you about my experience with a couple of the dating apps and just how awkward it was. But yeah, so I feel like this. Back in the early 2000s, like I mentioned earlier, we didn't have all the social medias. We had MySpace, and I'm thinking there might have been a couple of little ones that nobody really cared about, but MySpace was really the big deal, right? So for those of y'all who remember MySpace, shout out to you. Yeah, but instead of having multiple people on your social media platform just to say you got 50,000 friends, 1 million friends, like, that sounds unheard of back then. Mainly, everybody you had on your list, you might have had 200 because maybe you had a big family, maybe you had a bunch of friends at school, but these weren't people from Brazil and Europe and other states. These were people that you had at your arm's reach. Family members, relatives, neighbors, schoolmates, maybe even a teacher or two. Okay, so people more so interacted with each other. We met in person more. We interacted and got to know each other as individuals versus, oh, this person is a Instagram model, so that's what I know them for. This person is a personality on YouTube. That's what I know them. You know what I mean? So we had to do the work in order to build something that we could be comfortable with later on in life. Something that we could feel that we accomplished. So, yeah, we didn't have all the swiping left and right back then. Another point, we didn't have all these unrealistic expectations. Catfishing was rare, and if somebody was pretending to be somebody else, it was like a child who just got into the wrong chat room type of thing, and this 40-year-old man who's a perv is on this special site. Like, it was more rare for people to catfish. Like, catfishing was not an epidemic that it is now. People do that as a hobby. I'll get to that later. Just bear with me. But yeah, so Instagram models didn't exist back then. Your personality was enough to captivate somebody. Of course, they want to, look at you and say, well, my girlfriend, my boyfriend's cute. Of course, we had those little qualities, but the forefront was our personalities. Nowadays, it's way more vain. It's more how many followers do you have? How good do you look in a bikini or shirtless? And, what's the potential here? What can I gain from this? Also, bringing me to my third point. People back in the early 2000s and later, we really wanted relationships. Like, we would seek to be in a relationship and to build upon that relationship. We're seeking that long-term commitment. So the hookup culture wasn't a thing. We were actually looking for romance, and that also makes me think. Growing up, we enjoyed a lot of like fantasy, fairy tales, Disney movies, where in these movies it was depicted love, true love, my one true love, living happily ever after, things like that. Movies, they were more romantic. It wasn't so much scandal in TV, movies, and our cartoons. So I'm wondering also, put that in the comments below, do you agree that what we had as entertainment kind of shaped us too in that way? Because now I'm thinking the cartoons of today are a little adult. They're a little risque in some senses. Like, some cartoons curse. I mean, aside from The Simpsons, we didn't have many cartoons that were made for adults. But now it's like more cartoons are meant for adults. Then there's risque humor in some of the children commercials and cartoons and TV shows. And it's just, it's kind of an odd thing. And I feel like that might have desensitized a lot of the younger generation now who are trying to get out there in the dating world, and the way they interact is different. So I'm wondering, maybe I'm overthinking this, but I kind of feel like our media and our our cartoons and our TV shows and our movies depicted love in a more positive way. Everybody aspired to fall in love, have that happy family, have that happily ever after, have that romantic soulmate type of thing. Post in the comments what you guys think. Do you agree that that one, romance is dead, and two, the way we grew up and what we watched and took in constitutes for how we date and seek romantic dating, and you know what I mean? Like, do you feel what I'm feeling, or am I just overthinking it? Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, we are talking about dating in 2018. That's right, dating in 2018. Today, I feel that the younger generation is desensitized to romance and romanticism. Because if we really think about it, there are multiple social media platforms, dating apps, dating sites, things that just kind of throw it all at your fingertips. Back then, we had to work for it. We had to say, okay, I have a crush on so-and-so, and I don't know if they like me back. So let me do some investigating. Hey, best friend, come here. I like so-and-so. Help me. Okay. Best friend plays a spy and brings back information, and then you figure it out. Okay, they like me. Cool. Now what do I do? It was just a roller coaster of emotions. Nowadays it's just like, oh, okay, here's a baddie on Instagram. Let me like that photo. Let me slide in them DMs, and that's it. Like, it takes no planning, no thought, no care, no nothing. Like, it's just bam, okay, you don't like me? Well, fuck you, you ugly anyway. It's like, it's a weird psychological thing that the younger generation has this instant gratification thing where they feel like more of a sense of entitlement, I guess. They feel like, okay, well, I want this, so I should have it. There's no question. There's no, can I, have you? No, it's like, well, I like you, so you better say yes. And that goes into a whole nother deeper topic. That's where rape culture comes in. But we're not talking about that today. We're keeping it light today. We're just talking about the simple dating. How easy or hard it is now. So earlier I gave 3 points why dating was more, I guess, simple. Now I'm going to tell you, why it's more complicated now, or less special, or however you want to interpret it. So, as I mentioned earlier, there's so many social media platforms. It feels like you got unlimited opportunities. You got unlimited access to men and women, and nothing special. It's like, well, that didn't work out, so I'm gonna just go on to this person. I'm gonna just keep swiping until somebody talks to me. And then after 10 minutes, I'm gonna get bored, and then I'm gonna move on. Like, it goes back to the instant gratification and the need for being self-fulfilled. It's not about anyone else. It's all about that person. And it's kind of sad because there's nothing built. No communication, no connections are built. It's just, I liked your picture because you were naked or half naked. I like what I see. Boom, boom. Let's hook up. Okay, I'm done. I got what I wanted. Like, there's not many standards anymore. Old school conversation is not a thing. Also, I noticed a lot of people are extra picky these days. Like, if you don't look like A, B, and C in this Instagram modeling category, then I don't even want to speak to you. You could be polite, you could be nice, you could have money. Well, maybe money. It's like you gotta have good looks or a whole lot of money to get anybody's attention nowadays, which is weird, frustrating, kind of annoying. But again, you're dodging a bullet because you'll be going into something that's empty, if that makes any sense. So everybody is in this invisible competition of who's the most beautiful, who's the most, attractive. And I think that's kind of crazy too, because like I said earlier, personality was the forefront back in the day. Now it's looks and money, superficial things which will or can go away. And last, no one really wants to get close anymore. Everybody's been hurt. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got this cloud of negativity over their heads. But nobody wants to realize that everybody experiences the same thing. Everybody's been hurt. Everybody will get hurt. It's part of life. It's part of growing up. But everybody feels like, well, I was hurt, so I'm justified to fuck people over, in a sense. So everybody's got their guard up for, I don't want to say for no reason, but in a sense for no reason, because at the end of the day, everybody's been hurt, gets hurt, will get hurt. It's a part of it. That's what kind of shapes you. It builds you, it builds your character, it builds your will to survive and to keep surviving, right? So I don't know. I just think that if a lot of the young people took a page out of our books, they would be a little better off. But kind of like when we were growing up, we don't want to hear what you got to say about back in the day, back in my day. And I feel like I sound 70 years old, but the older I get, the more sense the elders make to me, which probably sounds crazy to some people, but it is true. But again, that's building, that's life, that's these lessons that teach you how to be and kind of what to be, in a sense. All right, so with no further ado, let's get into the story. All right, take a quick break, get a little sip of water because my throat is dry, and I'm gonna get into this story. It's pretty crazy. You'll see what I mean when I get to it. Be back in a couple of minutes. Get a snack or something. You're gonna want to. So the moment you've all been waiting for, the story. All right. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not as embarrassed as I was when it happened, but I'm still a little bit embarrassed about it. But the story of when I got catfished. So, as I've said a couple of times, I'm recently single. My ex and I decided to officially call it a quits at I want to say the end of August of last year. After we tried to work it out for a couple of years, I ruined the relationship. I'll talk about that in a whole another episode. But yeah, so I was going through the motions of being depressed, lonely, emo, like I was just going through a lot of different emotions. So I was like, let me try one of these I'm not ready to date at all, but let me try one of these sites or one of these apps rather, just to talk to somebody, just to have companionship. Because I put it out there when I first started, like, talking to people on these sites. That I was like, I'm not looking for anything, don't want to hook up, don't want a relationship, just got out of a breakup, just looking for friends. So, I got on this app called Meet Me, I think it's called Meet Me. And, there were, a bunch of people. But what I noticed was a lot of the people that were on this site were super young, 21, 22. I think maybe the oldest person that I would come by every now and then was like 25, maybe. So, like, that made me feel weird because here I am, 31 at the time. And I'm like, where are the people that are my age or close to my age? And I was like, okay, well, I'm obviously not going to take this site seriously. Then I get a couple of those little matches or whatever. And, the conversation lasts like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, one exchange, and then the people disappear. So I wasn't having much luck. I was tempted to delete it. Well, I was going to delete it. And then I get a message from this girl. And she seems cool or whatever. Attractive, whatever. And I'm like, all right, whatever. She actually held a conversation for a couple of minutes. So I was like, okay, finally somebody who knows how to hold a conversation. And I believe she said on her thing, it said she was like 27 or 28, one of those. So I was like, okay, somebody closer to my age, cool. All right, let's chat. So we chatted. It was nothing serious about it. We chatted for a few, maybe 2 weeks. And then she disappeared. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, here we go. This again. So I thought nothing of it. And then after like, I want to say a month, maybe close to a month, the girl sends me a message out of the blue. Hey, what's up? How have you been or whatever? I'm like, oh, I've been cool. How have you been? Haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah, I'm a model or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Follow your dreams. Cool. That's ambitious. That's awesome. And we proceeded to talk a little bit, and then she was like, oh, but I will be leaving. She said she was from LA. She's talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna be leaving LA and going, my destination is in Nigeria. I'm going to do a photo shoot in Nigeria. I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Traveling. That sounds like the life, whatever, whatever. Still thinking really nothing of it. I was like, oh, yeah, she's cool to talk to, but I really didn't. I wasn't feeling like, oh, I met the one. And I'm intrigued by travel. I'm intrigued by ambition and following your dreams and all of that stuff, but it just wasn't clicking for me. It was just like, cool, I got somebody to chat with every now and then. That feels nice. But yeah, like, she was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in Nigeria for a few weeks. So I just wanted to let you know or whatever. And I'm like, oh cool, safe travels, if you can. Text me when you make it. I tell that to everybody. Safe trip. Let me know when you make it home safe. This, that, and the other. I guess it's just being polite and how I was raised. But anyway, during this time, she starts texting like every day. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It seems to me that you kind of like my company or whatever. And then things start to shift. It gets kind of weird because the conversations get less and less. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't heard from you in a couple of days. Are you all right? Then then the sob stories start. Oh, I lost something and I need money. I'm like, hold up now. Hold up now. I don't even really know you like that. Like, not know you, but I've known you for like 2 months. Why are you asking me for money? And then it's like, then it starts with the baby talk and I'm like, what's going on? Something's not right. And I'm like, yeah, well, no, I just lost my job. I don't have anything. Sorry. And it's like, oh, that's okay. I get it. I understand. And it just like became a consistent thing. And then something started to like switch in my brain. And I'm like, something doesn't feel right. So I want to say maybe a month, maybe 2 later, I just got something in my head and I said, you know what? I watch a lot of Catfish. I'm going to do that little trick that they do on the show. And I took one of the photos. I think I had like 2 or 3 on my phone. And she was like, oh, this is a picture of me at the little shopping center or whatever. So I decided to take that photo, put it into the Google search, and see what I got up. To make a long story short, this girl basically stole a few pictures from this woman who lives in Spain, doesn't speak any English, and I was like, that makes sense why I haven't gotten any voice like videos. It was always a photo. And then I noticed what made me kind of start thinking. In one photo, her hair was like black. And then in the other photo, her hair was like a lighter brown. And I'm like, But then it was black again. I'm like, wait a minute now. I'm observant. I notice little things. People may not think that, maybe they may not pick up on those subtle details, but I pick up on those little subtle weird details like that. And I was like, so I made a comment one time. I was like, oh, you changed your hair color. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did. Do you like it? I'm like, oh yeah, it looks nice. Okay. And I was like, I'm gonna just play along. Turns out, some of those photos were from like 4 years ago. From this lady, this girl, this woman in Spain, who is a bachata dance instructor and doesn't speak any English. And I'm like, wow, I just fucking got catfished. So I decided, while my adrenaline was still high, I'm going to confront this woman. And I'm going to say, lose my contacts, lose my email, don't call me, don't text me, don't reach out to me. Because I already know you're catfishing me. She tried to play it up, and she was like, "Oh, what? How could you? You're gonna call me a catfish? Like that's not right." I'm like, "Okay, that's not right. Well, who the hell is this person?" I'm not gonna put no names out. I was like, well, who the hell is this? She was like, "Huh? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about." I sent the Instagram page. I was like, "Her, who is that?" And she was like, "Oh, well, I was like, "I don't need any explanations. Just read the email that I sent you, lose my information, have a nice life." So, luckily, I followed my intuition, my instincts, because I would have been in that situation right now. And I'm glad I left her in 2017, because it was just a ploy to get me to like send money and do these things for her. And I felt really stupid at the end because I allowed myself to get played like that. And because like after so long went by, I was like, "Damn, you're still in Nigeria?" "Yeah, the photo shoot's longer, they need this, they extended the project." And I was like, turns out the girl lives in Nigeria and is from Nigeria. And then later on, I had seen like on Dr. Phil and some other shows that people are like literally in Nigeria scamming people left and right. I'm like, fuck. I was part of that? That's crazy. So anyway, that's my little story about the time I got catfished. And it did not feel good, but I learned a valuable lesson. The valuable lesson was just to follow your instincts and to be careful and to notice little warning signs. Her warning sign was, I was like, "I'm not interested in a relationship." But she started off with the babe and like, I'm like, okay, you're rushing. Like if somebody's rushing something along too quick, something's up. If somebody is avoiding certain topics or discussions or conversation at all, there's a problem. So be mindful when you online date or try to mingle. A lot of people are just kind of in it for what they can gain. And I learned that lesson, and I was embarrassed and hurt and whatever for a little bit. But then I realized, I was like, you know what? That was a lesson in that. I needed that lesson. Because me, I'm very like, I don't try to keep a guard up, because I feel like it's a waste of time to play mental games, and cause I feel like if I feel something, I want to say it. If I don't say it, I'm gonna definitely show it. If I care about you, I'm gonna be there for you. You know what I mean? If I can do it, I will do it. So maybe I let off that air to her that this person will give you something. They're nice. You can play them. So now I have to kind of reshape my mentality and kind of do a little better with how I present myself, because I attach easily, and when I love forever. So it was a valuable lesson. But anyway, that's my story. That's my topic for the day. Thanks for sticking it out with me, and thanks for joining me for another topic. Post in the comments, what do you guys think about dating in 2018? Are you doing that currently? Have you done it recently and taken a break from dating? Let's get that discussion going in the comments, and tell me what your experiences are. I would love to know. I'd love your feedback, and I'd love to know how you guys feel on this topic. Alright, so until next time, thanks for joining. I'll see you again